Testing. Cool. It looks like we're live. I'm just kidding. All right. So you just got done with some a combo ceremony today.
Yes, I did.
How did that go for you?
What was my third combo ceremony, my inoculation. Still don't know what that means, but it was good. I feel like there's a lot that unfolds after the combo ceremony. Well, actually, there's a lot that unfolds before the combo ceremony and then afterwards. So I'm excited to see how that unfolds. Mm-hmm. I got the most dots because I guess you can have as little as 1 dot, and then 6 is the max. And first time I had 2, and then 3, and then this last time I had 4. But honestly, this wasn't really as intense as the first 2. I don't know if intense is the right word even, because it's not like, it's really hard to describe to somebody what the experience is because it's not pleasant, but it's not as bad as you think it's going to be also. Because you did it too, right?
Yeah, I only did 1 session.
Right.
Yeah. So it would have been good to get the full inoculation, I think. But I'll be doing it next week, so I'll get that opportunity.
Are you doing 3 days in a row or?
I don't know. I probably should, but it's just a matter of
start cheating on your diet again.
What's that?
Start cheating on your diet again.
Yeah, I condense it so I don't have to prolong the diet.
Yeah, I wish mine was more condensed because, like, I mean, it's been great to eat clean. Last night we did a little potluck thing, but there were so many things that I couldn't eat. And one of the people brought like this big chocolate cake, and I was just like, maybe I should take a piece for later. And then I was like, no, you haven't done sugar for like 3 weeks. Why would you start it on a big piece of chocolate cake? So I've started making these cookies that are like made with chickpeas, peanut butter, and dates, and they're really good. They're delicious. And so I was like, this is me now.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. Yeah.
I'm
gonna be one of those people that, like, I eat for fuel.
Yeah, and then like pointing fingers at people while they're eating bad stuff.
You're killing the environment or whatever.
Do you not give a fuck about your body?
I mean, I just had a ham and turkey and cheese sandwich, so I don't know how great I'm doing so far.
I don't know. I mean, the bread's probably the worst part.
But it was sourdough bread. She said that was okay.
Yeah. Sourdough's good.
Yeah. That was probably the first dairy I'd had since I had a little bit of butter on Sunday, but I haven't really had dairy in a really long time.
So explain kind of the process of the ceremony. What was that like for you?
So you have to sign up all of this scary paperwork that says you might die.
Not liable.
Not liable. But she reassured me, like, Erica's really good. She, and then it's almost like you have like a therapy session, like what you're getting rid of, what you're bringing in. The first time I cried a little bit because I was just like, I'm getting rid of these things. And then the first time, like, I was here for like 4 hours because just all the explanation and the things, and I was super nervous the first time. The more you do it, the less nervous you get, but it's still like your body knows it's coming. And and I keep on thinking, oh my gosh, this is the time. I'm just gonna pass out and flail on the floor. That never happened. And die. That never happened though. So
that's good.
So she walks through like what you're getting rid of. You pray to the combo, what you're getting rid of, what you're letting in. She cleanses everything. She sages you, or sages herself and sages the tools and sages you. And then as you set your intentions, praying with the combos, it's kind of like all meditative, and then you spit into a cup because that's what she binds the medicine to, is the peptides science happens. and then she, you meditate on how many dots you want, how many or where you want it placed, because I found this out from her that you want it on a limb, arms or legs. And in the video that I watched about it, she put it on her spine, and I think she used an incense stick, which apparently is like super disrespectful to the medicine. I can't remember what the tree branch. Do you know what the tree branch is that she uses for the?
I forgot. It's some vine that grows in the Amazon that the frogs live in. Yeah.
So, and it smells great when she starts burning it.
Yeah.
But she's like, you wouldn't want to put it anywhere on your torso, except for like if you become a practitioner, then I guess you get like a heart dose, so it's like right over your heart. But she's like, you don't really want that anywhere near your spine. And I thought that was interesting. And then she's like, you definitely don't want to use an incense to burn the holes, because then there's chemicals on the incense stick. So it's like, there's a lot of misinformation out there on the internet. And as she was telling somebody today, like a story I was listening to, she was telling me was, she's like, don't look it up on Google because you're going to get all this horrible information. Like the video I watched wasn't terrible. I felt more eased after reading some stuff, but at the same time, like it wasn't anything like my experience here. Excuse me. And then, so then she lights the stick. She marks where you want, how many spots you want, or how many dots you want, where you want it, from 1 to 6 dots on either your ankles or your arms. And then she has you take a deep breath and does you let go. And that's when she like pokes you with the stick. Like it stings for like half a second. Like I thought that was gonna be the worst part, because in the video it looks like they're just like jamming it in, like but it really isn't that bad. I do find, and she said this too, that it's more sensitive and it takes longer to heal on the ankles. And I know that now. But yeah, it's like I can still feel it kind of stings a little bit. But last time, like I had it on my arm and I barely felt it at all unless I scratched it or something. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I had that thing there.
Yeah. That's where I got mine, is on the shoulder over here.
And then she mixes, I guess she already mixes the spit and the Kambo together, but then she like divvies it up for how many dots that you have. And then she asks if you're ready, and usually my answer is like, I'm ready as I'm gonna be. Like, how much more ready can you be? I mean, how do you prepare for that?
Yeah, because once they put it on, there's no turning back.
Yeah, they could take it off pretty quick. That's right. Yeah, but
they can take it off.
But at the same time, like you're in it and you're there for 20 minutes. So, and the time actually moves by pretty quick. Today, I felt like the time was moving by a little slow. The first time I had it was probably the most intense, and the time went by insanely fast. And I was aware the whole time. I started sweating profusely, and that time I had 2 on my ankle, and it takes longer to get to your heart from your legs versus your arms. So it takes a little while you feel it kind of like ease in. You start to get hot, which doesn't feel bad. Like actually the initial feelings of it actually feel pretty good. But then it starts to really kick in when you start to like hear your heartbeat in your ears. It's like dun, 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 and it's just getting louder. The funniest thing is the first time I did it, I thought I had my eyes closed, but it turned out that I had my eyes open the whole time, and I thought I had my eyes closed, and I was like, I had completely blacked out, but I was still like aware and in the room, but I thought I had my eyes closed. And it was just too funny because she started to like shake the shakers and the rattles and stuff like that. And I was just like, I imagine I probably looked like a creep or a weirdo or whatever. She said my pupils were like super dilated. So I'm just like sitting there, and she's like, she was like, I was thinking to myself, I was like, did you pass out? That's why I checked on you. Like, are you doing okay? And I was like, I responded, yes. So she's like, okay, so he's still with us. But she's like, did he pass out with his eyes open? Because, but yeah. And so like, she's doing the shaker, and then all of a sudden, like, I don't know if you've ever had a blackout experience where like things get fuzzy, like, black to like reddish or whatever.
Only like one ever.
And so like, so then like I start seeing like the silhouette of her, the shaker, her shaking, and then like start to see the silhouette of her. And then that's when I realized I had my eyes open the whole time. And I was thinking I was having some sort of like transcendental experience, because on
seeing
DMT,
entities.
No, because like on DMT once, like I basically like lifted up a little bit out of my body enough to be able to see the room or whatever, but I didn't, and I had my eyes closed. And I thought that was kind of what the experience was that I was having. I was like, oh my gosh, my eyes are closed, and I'm like seeing the room. And then I was like, oh wait, my eyes have been open this whole time. So then like all my vision started to come back. The second time I kept my eyes closed because it's just, I was like, well, I don't know that I need to experience that again. The second time, so the first time, and the first time I didn't puke. I just like, I shook a lot and I sweat. And then I guess I did a bottom purge afterwards, as they call it.
Yeah.
Super proud of it. And then
proud of your bottom purge. Nice.
I mean, it feels good because you like go and you're just like, it's like you got a devil out of you. Like it smells horrible. Like it just fiery, like shoots out of you. Hey, you wanted details. I'm just giving you the details.
Yeah, I guess get what I ask for.
Yeah, be careful what you ask for. And then the second time I threw up, or the second dose I got, I threw up and also bottom purged later. And my purge was, at first came out a little bit green, and then there was mostly yellow, and then like this big glob of yellow. It looked like a little slimy, like almost like a squash, like some sort of slimy squash, mashed squash kind of thing. And it was like deep, like it was like, like it was like being squeeze tubed out of me. And so yeah, that was pretty intense. And that time, like I got frog face, my ears swelled up and my mouth. I mean, it's all perfectly normal.
Yeah, so it's super interesting how the Kambo medicine, because it comes from a frog and in the Amazon,
turns you into a frog.
Turns you into a frog. Yeah, like the frog like takes over your body. It's like it becomes the host, or you're the.
I become the frog. I go full frog.
Yeah, it's like operating.
That's what JD said when he was in it. He's like, and I was full frog. I was in it. And I was like, so yeah, second time I definitely went full frog. And that's when I felt like a little bit of the throat closing up sensation.
Did Erica tell you about the story about how Kambo was discovered?
It was like a shaman of a tribe, and his tribe was all sick with various things, and then so he decided to drink ayahuasca and head out into the jungle, and then the tree frog came to him on his shoulder and told him about the medicine, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, because it's like, who was like, oh, burn a hole and then put it on my burn.
Well, yeah, and it's so, I mean, like, people who have never done anything like this probably wouldn't have that experience, because I remember listening to another podcast where this guy was saying, like, for people who are interested in ayahuasca and things like that, he was like, you don't really realize until you're in the medicine, when the shaman says, like, you are the medicine, that you really are. Like, I mean, this is your reality. Like, what you're, I mean, technically, you don't really need any things of these things. Like in the Course in Miracles, would call it magic. There's nothing wrong with magic. It's just like how you perceive your reality. So it's like whatever you're drawn to. So like you're drawn to ayahuasca, you're drawn to Kambo, mushrooms, whatever. It's to teach you something about yourself, but it's also you. You know, you're feeding yourself your reality. And it reminds me of this story. I think Ram Dass or Alan Watts tells about them trying to like, I think it was Ram Dass because he was big into acid and stuff. Get this. One of his teachers to try acid or whatever. And the teacher takes like all the acid and he's all like, and didn't do anything to him because he knew that it had no power to do that to him. So it's just like realizing, and I had that kind of realization when I did ayahuasca too, was like in that first night of purging, like I really realized it was like within my power to stop feeling sick if I wanted to. Like, like you become more aware of what it is you're creating, what kind of beliefs you're feeding into, you know? So it's just like, and none of these things are wrong, you know, it's like you're giving yourself grace along the way, but it's just like, you know, you enjoy coffee or something, or, you know, I'm just using coffee as an example, but you enjoy coffee, but it's just like, is the coffee ruling you or are you in control of the coffee? You know, because you can't serve two masters. So it's just like, you know, God is all there is, and that is yourself. And so there is nothing outside of you that has any power. So coffee can't really give you energy, but it's your belief in coffee that gives you energy. You know, it's that placebo effect.
Right. Well, and something you said with like the purging, it's kind of like a metaphor, especially in ayahuasca, because I was that way within my first couple ceremonies where, you know, I'd take it and then lay down and then just kind of blast off essentially. But then I would sit in that sickness. And so then I learned through sitting up and breathing and then just being ready for it and letting it go and then moving on. You know, I think it's easy. That's kind of like a metaphor for our life, that we sit in the fucking guilt or the shame or the things that we don't like, when we can just pass it, let it pass and move on.
Yeah. Well, and it really, and that's what I liked about ayahuasca, is it really shows you yourself and like kind of forces you to some of your stuff. So it's just like, you know, sitting in it, at least that first night, the first time, was like, you know, having this, well, it was weird because, and this is ayahuasca I'm talking about, but when I was sitting there, I was having like this, I took it and then I was like sitting up, you know, all Buddha statue-like, and I really felt like expansive and like expanding sensation. And then it was just kind of like, you know, all of a sudden it was like I was getting whiplash in a car accident. I was just like jerked to the side and all of a sudden like, what, you know, and then I was like purging. And then I kept on being shown like people and these things that just like, it had like a negative connotation to it, and it was almost, you know, like traumas or the things that I had made myself a victim of, because like technically in consciousness, like there's 4 stages of consciousness and victimhood is like one of 4. And so you remain in victimness while you still choose to have somebody, you know, cause you to be a victim or whatever. So it was like seeing these things, and then it was almost like it became flat, this like flat sensation. I was like, I just want this to be over. And then like there was this complete shift to where it was like, all of a sudden I had this intense gratitude towards the experience, towards what was happening right then, but also these past memories. And to where it was like really pushing through that victimhood that I was holding on to about people who had done things to me, quote. And then realizing that it was all just teaching me something, teaching me how to love myself, or, you know, whatever the lesson was, to have gratitude for these things. And because let's see, there's victimhood, and then I can't remember the other three, but it's something about like one is where you realize you're aware of your reality, and then you like are in control. And I know the last one is like surrendering to the all, basically. There's another step in there somewhere, but it's basically like realizing your reality and then making that shift, which is, I think, in that consciousness is where we're like Abraham Hicks law of attraction kind of thing is like, then you're putting forth that that intention into the universe for things to be attracted to you. And then somewhere along the lines is complete surrender to allowing the flow of life to move through you and as you.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, what, if you don't mind sharing, what was like your intention for doing Kambo? Like, why Kambo? Because it's definitely not something that's like super attractive unless you're you know, like heard about it or whatever.
For me, I just really wanted to get it out of my own way, and for some reason, through practices or whatever, I wasn't like, because it's all one thing to like learn things conceptually, spiritually. Like, there's a ton of spiritual knowledge out there. People can be very spiritually knowledgeable, but like something wasn't integrating. And so I needed something physical to move that. And Kambo seemed like, ayahuasca and Kambo both were kind of along those lines. I mean, I'd never heard about Kambo until I did ayahuasca, but I was always drawn to ayahuasca. And I'd keep on, you know, telling myself like, oh, you don't really need that because it's all an illusion anyways, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, but I still have to like honor the fact that I have a body, that I'm living in this life, like whatever is like coming to me in my experience that feels like it would benefit me or shift me more towards becoming my greater self is something I want to do. And so that was really what was the motivator behind doing Kambo. I wasn't exactly sure what my intentions were going to be necessarily as it was coming up, but so like the week before I had already agreed to do Kambo and set the appointment. And then so like the week before, I was like having all these emotions. I was crying. I was like pre-purging, what Erica calls as pre-purging, because like, you know, you're already kind of in the medicine before you even start the medicine. And so, and it was the same for ayahuasca. Like my whole life started to shift those weeks before I did ayahuasca. And because that was my intention. And so then I was having this realization that I've been kind of avoiding the fact that I've been depressed. Like I was like deeply depressed and like just feeling like I was healing parts, and then I was good. You know, I'm a happy person. I can keep going, you know? And so it was like not really like sitting with my pain and giving myself the love that I really needed to give myself. And so that was really my intention, was to like let go of the things that were holding me back, which was like guilt, shame, embarrassment, sadness, grief, because I went through a divorce, and I've had traumas in my life, you know, that have like really feel like, you know, it's like almost like feeling trapped within myself to like not break through. And so like when I did Kambo the first time, like I felt amazing afterwards. I was filled with so much energy. I felt lighter, and that's really been the experience every time. Like I feel like I've really released something. Something has moved out of my way. Um, I feel like I've been more confident. The second dose that I got, I was driving in the car with my friend, and um, he said that it sounded like, and this was even before we even had a conversation about it, but he said that it sounded like I was speaking more from my chest than with my head. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool, because, and something that I'd listened to earlier that week too was that, your intuition's in your body, not in your head. And it's like I've been allowing these thought processes in my mind, my ego mind or whatever, to really be taking the driver's seat of my life. Mm-hmm. And it hasn't really been paying out very well. So yeah, it was to really shift my life.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, that it's like a physical movement. I never really thought of that when I did it. My intention was, because I was an alcoholic. I really don't like identifying myself with certain things like that, but I have a bad relationship with alcohol, we'll just say that. And so the shaman yeah, he administered the combo for me, and since then I haven't drank. So it's been 2 years now. I don't know that I'd say that it's fully that. It's a combination of a lot of things that have kept that out of my life, but I think it was kind of a catalyst too of letting go of something that I was attached to in terms of drinking, because it was definitely causing a lot of issues in my life. Unknowingly, I knew it, but I guess I wasn't really ready to accept it, and so it forced it out of me.
Well, and I find that too, that like, well, that's the thing, is like, because I also have a friend who, and it's not really drinking, it's like marijuana, and technically, I mean, that's a plant medicine, and can be very helpful to certain people, but it's just like, with anything, you can abuse it. I mean, alcohol could probably be benefit to some degree, I don't know.
Potentially.
Because I don't think anything is inherently good or bad, but like, he's been having this struggle trying to quit, and then he talks about how when he talks to friends about it, and it's like, oh, I'm trying to quit, and then it's like, his friends are like, well, is it really hurting you? Like, so it's like making excuses. And it reminds me, in the Course in Miracles, they say how, because this is our reality, when we're employing the ego mind peoples the world. So it's just like, if I wanted validation for my ego thoughts, I'll project that onto you and you'll feed that back to me. Whereas like, if I was in my divine self, then I'm extending love to you rather than projecting a world that I control or whatever, And so it gets confusing for people, because they're just like, it's other people who are saying it, and it's just like, there aren't really other people. We're all one. And I know it seems like there's other people, but it's still your own ego feeding you information back. Like, I mean, if you have an argument with your spouse or whatever, and you go to your friends and you're like, well, this bitch, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, yeah, man, yeah. They're going to feed you exactly what feeds your ego. It's not going to reconcile anything. You're going to come back and you're like, my friends said that you're a crazy bitch, just as I told you were.
Oh, dude, and Erica, right? Yeah. No, I've realized that actually this last ayahuasca ceremony is my mom, my dad, one of my best friends, Shyler. It's easy to go to them and be like, oh, this happened, and then be like, oh yeah, that what? And she did that, you
How
know? And
could
it's
she do
like I
that to
knew I was
you?
right, you know, and then
I told you she was totally wrong for you.
yeah, and then I kind of had that realization, and then I told my dad about it, and you know, he was like, oh yeah, okay, I see, which was kind of cool too, to have that kind of conversation with my dad, and even Shyler and my mom, and just kind of owning up to that. But yeah, that's super true. Like the ego kind of has run the show
Yeah.
in terms of getting what it wants to feel good, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, and they say, because on this other Course in Miracles thing that I listened to, they were saying how, don't ever personalize the ego, because it's like an ego thought system. It's almost just like the same as collective consciousness. Like, it's fear or love. So it's just like, are you, you know, in the consciousness of God and love and all that, or is it, or you're in the consciousness of fear and separation? And so it's just like, it's a mass consciousness. So it's like, it's everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and the more you wake up, the more people around you wake up, and there's a mass awakening happening um currently throughout the world. Like, it seems like it's, in certain parts or some places are more awake than other places, but it's really just happening on this massive global scale. And so it's like, people, like, years ago, I would start talking about this kind of stuff, and then, like, I find those people that, were of a certain religion or a certain atheistic, whatever kind of mindset they were at the time, are starting to shift and be like, they're like, there's this weird connection going on with, they're like, did you know this? And I was like, oh yeah, like
I told you that five
I
years
was like,
ago.
but and it reminds me of that, when Jesus was teaching, uh, you know, for those who have ears, let them listen, or however it's worded. But it's just like, you can hear something a million times, but until it clicks, like, then you actually really hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And I listen to lots of stuff over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
um, or read things, and it's just like, something will hit different when I'm ready for it, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And that's what I think is so powerful about it all.
Yeah, it's like those things that you're reading and listening to are planting seeds for that future self to harvest
Mhm.
later on when it, is essential or something, like
Yeah.
for sure.
Right. I mean, it's just like the same. I mean, and it's like, then you have like a deeper understanding of things too, because, like, I had heard the phrase, "You can't serve two masters" years ago, and then, like, it really, back then in my mind was probably like, well, I have to serve God or somebody else, or or whatever. Like, you separate it in these things, and it's just like, these other things are like, you're serving love in the all, or you're serving yourself, which comes in the form of food or alcohol or relationships or whatever's like gonna feed that sense of separation in yourself. But
Mm-hmm.
because deep down, like, we all believe that we're separate, and that's the only real problem that there is this belief in separation. But the thing
Mm-hmm.
is, it's only a belief, and that
Mm-hmm.
means that it can be corrected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. um so, like, how do you feel now that you've done combo? Do you feel different? I mean, what's that like for you?
I feel
Might be early, but
I mean, each time I felt really great. I mean, just having it today, my throat's a little scratchy, but no, I feel good. I feel like over the last couple of weeks, I feel like there's definitely been a weight lifted off of me. I feel like I'd be more ready to, step into something that maybe I wasn't willing to do before, or um, if something is delaying me, be able to stop and look at, like, well, why is this frustrating me? Why am I holding back doing it? is it really because I just honestly don't want to do it? Because like that, you can heal your life book. It's just like, don't shit on yourself, turn them into coulds. Like, okay, I could do this, but do I really want to? And so like I've been looking into that. Like I was like, I could do that, but do I really want to do that? Because I think that's been really my biggest, in this last session, it was like there was this lot of indecisive energy about where the combo was going to go, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm being indecisive right now. And I really felt like when she was blowing the smoke, because it normally tells you one way or the other, like she blew it on my head, and she's like, that's weird. And I was just like, what? And she's like, it's like swirling around in the middle of your head. And I was like, well, what does that mean? Because normally it's supposed to go to the right or the left. And then like when it was in my hands, because she'll blow it into your hand and then you open it like a book. And it's supposed to like dance around, and if it goes to one side or the other, and then like doing the heart space one, she blew on it once and went left, blew on it another time and went right. And I was like, come on, come on, tobacco, figure it out. I was like, you're supposed to tell me. So and then so like I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted this time, which the first couple times like I came out like I knew exactly what I wanted. Like two on the left ankle came out exactly in mind the first time, and then the second time 3 on my shoulder was actually like I thought about it the night before. And then I kind of thought about what I wanted, but like there was still this like unsure energy in me. And so I was just like 3, and she was like, well, I was kind of thinking 4, but and she explained it to me, and she's like, you don't have to do 4, 3 more, it seems more comfortable. So then like I took a moment, and I was just like, I just had to pick something. So I picked 4, and I did the right ankle. I was going to do the arm again, but then when I originally had the vision of doing 3, because I had a downwards triangle done the first time, and then I was going to do an upwards triangle so it looked like an hourglass, but that didn't turn out. So now it looks like a domino on my on my ankle. So but I think that a lot of what really holds me back is like sometimes I just don't know what I want to do, and it seems like the thing that I'm doing isn't it. If that makes sense. And so like opening up more to find out what that thing is. Like maybe if I have an obligation and I've already agreed to it, then I can fulfill that obligation and I don't feel bad about it. I can still give love in the experience. But at the same time, I don't want to also be like agreeing to things that I don't actually want to do. And I feel like that's actually been my issue through my life, is agreeing to things that I don't actually want to do. But I think that through ayahuasca and our Science of Mind class and all these things is that really coming to realize that like, yes, I've always been making my own decisions, because that's what people always think is like, I'm not even making my own decisions. Like, well, you are, you're just not making the things you actually really want, and that's really what I've been doing, is like, I feel like, I'm agreeing to things, but they're not really what I want. And so I think this is really pushing me towards finding that.
Have you ever heard of IFS, internal family systems?
No.
So I'm reading a book right now, and there's like meditations. I've read it before, but going back through it and actually doing the meditations. But IFS is internal family systems. There's a book called No Bad Parts.
Okay.
And it talks about how we have like basically an internal family. And so you can communicate and build a relationship with the different parts. And there's probably, 10, 20 different parts that live in your consciousness, and they're, past, present, future, all different shapes and sizes, tones, personalities, so on and so forth.
That's like, there are many mansions in my father's house.
Yeah. And so each one has a mansion, but most of these parts don't have a relationship with each other. And so they are conflicting, so they
Okay.
conflict with one another.
That sounds
So
very interesting.
when you say like, I didn't want to do that, well, there might be two parts at play there that are having an argument or whatever. I just discovered two parts of mine. One of them is, kind of the one that feels attacked all the time.
Mm.
And you kind of give it names and visual, but one of them is the one that feels attacked, like in business, not appreciated, like I'm not doing enough, unworthy. There's that part, and it has its role in the way that I live my life. And then the one I figured out today is there's one that I coined the jock, because I have like this thing where I'm a very faithful person, but there's beautiful women out there, and so I find myself like looking, but then I'm like, no, don't do that, like
Shutting
there's
yourself down, and
there's two conversations going on right now, and so I always win, but it doesn't feel good, so there's these parts, and so it might be worth something to look into. That's what you're saying.
I don't think of that too, like with like seeing somebody who's attractive or whatever, like, because I think there's also this battle of like needing to be a certain way, but but also practicing love, and it's just like, well, like, is something happening in your mind, or are you like, is that like in a way an expression of love when you notice somebody who's attractive or you see the beauty about this person? Like, are you really actually shutting down like a genuine feeling versus like a impulsive sexual attraction, or what do you mean?
Usually that.
Okay, wow.
So and that's why it's the jock, it's like the tough guy. It's the one that was like popular. It's like getting all the pussy.
Get all that pussy.
Exactly.
You know me.
Yeah. So well, I think probably the last question I have for you is like, with you going through this inoculation phase, because it's like, it's said to do 3 in every lunar cycle for your inoculation. So what do you see is going to be your process of integrating this inoculation phase? Like, how are you going to go about that? Because that's really like the main thing. Even with like ayahuasca, you can go and trip out and see things, but what do you do?
But if you're not going to change, that's a good question. I mean, I feel like I already have been integrating things quite a bit, actually. I've like, I haven't been shutting down, because it always seems like my mind's always in a hurry to do something or get something done, and so sometimes it's not like maybe taking as much time or consideration, maybe even of other people or myself, really. And I think that like I've really started to like, instead of feeling like, oh, I want to end whatever this experience is right now is so I can go do this other experience, but rather just like, being able to stop myself and, because like, let's say, you wanted to have a conversation about something, but I was on my way to do something else. Like, it would almost be like I couldn't really be there 100%. It'd be like I would be giving you like rapid answers because I'm still on my pathway somewhere else or whatever. And so like I found myself like really stopping and being like, it's okay for me to take this time with this person or with myself, to really like be a container of love for this, like to hold somebody in space, to hold space for somebody, or even for myself. Because I mean, like, you know, even just on a daily routine, like if I have to be somewhere by a certain time, it's like I'm, you know, micromanaging many tasks to do up to that point, and so there really isn't a lot of wiggle room for other things. And so it's just like, but you know, just with you know, when they say like when you meditate regularly, you find that you actually have a lot more time to do other things because you're not all wrapped up in your head. And so it's I have been meditating a lot, so, and that's been good. So I've been able to, you know, free up that space, or even just like not feel as anxious about getting to the next thing, because ultimately it doesn't really matter, because if I blew somebody off when they needed my help or something, or gave them a short answer or something like that to go do my thing, I would still be thinking about that moment while I was doing this other thing. So then I end up actually ruining both experiences. So, I feel like I've been giving myself a lot more grace, loving myself more. Like this thing that I was listening to the other day was, you know, love thy neighbor as yourself. And that and the way you worded it was really good, was like your mind is your neighbor and so is your body. And so it's just like, you know, have I really been loving and honoring my mind and my body, when it just seems like my focus is always constantly on the outside world? And so it's just like, hey, maybe I need to take a minute, you know, take a few breathers, or, you know, if I'm with somebody, you know, maybe I don't have to rush away right away, you know, because what's the worst that's going to happen is I'm late to something, you know, or even miss something completely. And it's just like, I feel like things like that are now less important. Like, even because I think the worry before would be like, oh, maybe I'm going to be late to an appointment, you know, because I do massage therapy. It's like, I don't want to be late to somebody's appointment, but at the same time, it's just like, you know, I'm having this human experience. I still have to honor the fact that I'm having a human experience. If I need extra time, or like if I wasn't feeling well or something like that, then I'm allowed to have that space, you know, that it's not really taking away from somebody else to give to myself. Rather, it's more important for me to give to myself so that I can better give to others.
Yeah, that's hard. Definitely hard sometimes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, so I haven't gotten it yet, but this lady is going to do an astrological chart reading thing on me, and she did a little brief thing with it the other, actually it was on the new moon. Now that we're here at the full moon, which I guess was technically yesterday, but she was looking at my chart. She's like, oh, this lifetime's all about you. And I was just like, oh gosh, I feel like I've felt like this whole lifetime was about other people. You know, and I feel like I've really neglected myself. And even though when it seems like I'm doing things that potentially are loving myself, I'm not actually really integrating that experience either. Like, it's just another task. Like, oh, I'm going to take this hot Epsom salt bath, which is very calming and soothing, and it's going to be this time for myself. But then it's at the same time, it's just like, am I really integrating and accepting that experience as being love towards myself? Or if I'm eating something, am I really accepting that as love for myself? If I'm taking a nap or sleeping, am I really accepting these things as love for myself?
Yeah, it made me think, like, sometimes those things could potentially be being done out of like
frantic necessity, really.
Yeah, well, like like kind of punishment.
Yeah.
You know, even the salt bath or baths or whatever could be done out of punishment. It's like, you need to love yourself. Now go take a fucking bath. You know, and then
you smell like shit. Get out of here.
Sitting there trying to enjoy it, and you're like, yeah, take that.
I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna bath so hard. Uh,
So,
well, I don't know that I'm but I mean, I can see what you're saying though.
yeah.
But yeah, like, and I've been noticing more, like, if I am I doing this because I feel like I need to or have to, or am I doing this because I really want to?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I really enjoy Epsom salt baths, so I mean, that is something I do enjoy. But sometimes it does. But that's, because I like to do it at nighttime, like before bed, and so it's like if it's running late, like I almost wanted to do one last night, but it was like getting late, and I was just like, it was almost, I could realize that it would stress me out more to take the bath and worry about not getting enough sleep before coming in today, than it would be to just skip the bath and do it another day.
Mm-hmm.
you know so I mean, so in that respect, like, then I'm recognizing that I'm loving myself for giving myself that grace, or allowing myself to, you know realize that time management is important to me, or whatever the thought process was. But
Mm-hmm. Nice.
yeah,
This is a solid session.
yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. Well, thank you. It was good to kind of get back into the groove of this. I definitely enjoyed it. You cool if I post it?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
You can post it
I
if you
mean,
want
my
to.
hair looks like crap, but I feel like I should sit on your. I feel like I should sit on your side because, like, my nose kind of curves this way, or
Oh my
about.
god.
I
No.
think this might be my good side.
I think you need to love yourself.
Fine. Just tell me I'm beautiful.
All right. Well, we'll call it at that. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. Nice job.
Yeah.